Thank you all.
Thank you.
Well, it's very exciting to be here. It's my third time at ClioCon, and I'm hoping that it's going to be a fantastic 2 days for all of you. Today, we're going to talk about Clio Grow specifically. And one of the attendees was asking, is there going to be a computer involved? Not necessarily, but we do have worksheets that's going to be unique to this specific session to make sure that you're getting the insights, the actionable insights from this specific presentation. Michelle will walk you through what she does with her clients so that you can kind of start to think about how you can incorporate some of the learnings from today's session, which is basically around helping you understand how to streamline your intake processes, automate the client communications into your law firm's operations. As introduced, I'm Sai Gunia. Everyone calls me Sai. I'm a senior product manager here at Clio. Since I've been hired in Clio 3 years ago, I've been only working on Clio Grow. So you may have, if you've come to ClioCon before, this is my 4th presentation. And I've interviewed maybe upwards of 200, 300 Clio Grow customers, because my job is to understand your needs, desires, and issues so that we can collaborate with the developers and designers in our team to turn those into features. And I'm here joined by a very valuable partner to Clio. Michelle, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you. Hi, I'm Michelle Woznicki, and I'm an attorney, but I'm also a Clio certified consultant. I started my career in the United States Navy for about 10 years, very structured, disciplined, controlled environment. And then after that, I spent a couple decades working in the pharmaceutical industry, again, a very structured and disciplined industry. And in that role, I traveled around the globe and I helped pharmaceutical companies chart out their processes, streamline their operations, find efficiencies so they could increase their profit margin, thereby passing on cost savings, right? And now I do that today for law firms.
That's a long-winded way of saying you're in good hands today. We know quite a bit about Grow customers and law firms, and we have a lot to cover today. But before that, we want to thank our visionary exhibiting partners, as well as innovator exhibiting partners. And first, we're going to talk a little bit about the common challenges we're seeing law firms experience, especially around intake, and I'm going to spend a few more minutes just to kind of show you quickly what the end state could look like if you were to invest the time in making Grow work for your law firm. And then we're going to do a deeper dive into maximizing Clio Grow's features and share some interesting data that we've been seeing in the back end to see, if you want to incorporate some of the learnings here. And we'll leave you with some resources and links as well. If you don't have access to the worksheets that you may have seen on your desk, some of you, I think, may not have them. That may be, especially if you're looking for actionable insights and takeaways from the session, that worksheet will be very useful. And if you don't have access right now, maybe you can grab one from your neighbors or from the front over there. Before we start, we're curious who's in the room today. Who are currently Grow customers in this room right now? Majority, as expected. Who is using another intake solution? No? Usually there's one or two, but who's using no intake solutions or CRM? 1, 2. Yeah, I'm glad you're here.
I can help you.
There's a lot to learn. Honestly, I'm at the product lab throughout the 2 days, and we talked to a lot of potential customers who are interested in, hey, I feel like I need this. Can you tell me more about it? So welcome, and we'll cover a lot today. But before, we have a little video to show, which you may all relate to.
And I love this video because this person used to be me.
Waverly Law. Hold, please.
Being a lawyer isn't easy.
I have to call you back.
You have clients to serve,
And one more.
meetings to attend, and with the work of running a law firm, it can feel like you're treading water.
But Clio makes it easier by automating case management, client intake, billing, and more, so you can focus on actually helping people.
Clio, the law firm lifesaver.
And so when I think about that, I think about all the lawyers, and we heard it from Jack this morning, that are chasing that billable hour, and they're just out there trying to figure out how to get more work so that they can bill more, and I got to tell you, It doesn't have to be that way. I'm a flat fee attorney. I've always been a flat fee attorney. You can do it, and we're going to show you some ways how to do that.
And I mean, when we talk about client intake, it's a huge component. We find it's a huge component of the 69% of non-billable hours. But there are ways to give you a breather. So that's what we're going to focus on today. In addition to streamline and intake, we have 2 more topics that we will probably focus on. So we're curious, if you have your phones nearby, if you could scan this QR code, this will take you to a poll because we want to learn about your objectives today. You're now here in this session, especially with Grow, but in general, as your law firm, are you looking to streamline your intake and free up your time, get new clients, or convert the leads that you have into clients? You can't pick multiple, by the way. It doesn't have to be just one. So we're curious what the results are like. And I ran this poll last year too, so I'm curious if there's any change now that Grow has a lot more demand generation related capabilities. I'll give you a second. Looks like most of you are done. So let's see what the results are like. All right. 77 people replied streamline intake, get new clients. They're all quite close to each other. Increase lead conversion. The good news is that we're going to look into all of those today. But Grow has historically been a more of an intake platform that helps you automate your processes. And more recently, in the last 2-3 years, we're helping law firms generate demand for their new services. So we're going to look into those as well. Before that, I want to spend just a few minutes. I think some of you may be just getting started with your intake journey. You don't necessarily know what you don't know about how to set these up. So I'm going to attempt to show you all that Grow can offer in a few minutes. Starting with the initial touch point. This is where you're making the first contact with your potential client. And then pre-consult, this is where you're getting to some information and getting ready for the consultation that's upcoming with this new lead. And once the consultation wraps up, this is the time to engage your client to see if there's a fit and if they want to sign the representation agreement and move forward. Starting with the initial touch point, you're going to see some GIFs. They will be kind of walking us through each of these states. A very common way law firms generate demand is referrals or maybe a phone call. So when that's the case, you can simply use this quick intake functionality. It's a glorified way of saying I'm creating a new matter. You get some information around their contact information, what the matter is about, and then create this new matter so that you can automate things later on. Another common way to get new leads is maybe you have a website, you have an integration, maybe you're running advertisements. So if you have, for instance, Google advertisements that's linked to Grow, they come into this lead inbox. Again, you can use a quick intake functionality to start gathering information. You can check for duplicates, and you can use that functionality for conflict checking as well. Kind of input some information about what this matter is about, and then now you're ready to work on this matter. I guess we call it matter, but it's more of a lead at this stage. And one of the more popular features is the pipeline, where you see here's a new matter. When they get added, they have a new pill next to it, so you know which one is the new lead that came into your pipeline. That's the initial touch point. The pre-consultation stage is where you're gathering details of this matter so that you can get ready for the consultation. You want to review the information to see if there's a fit. And of course, this can be a very manual task heavy. So you want to automate this as much as possible, both the client communications as well as the internal staff and what they do on this matter. We launched this feature called automated workflows last year. Probably some of you are using it right now. They are basically checklists that tie actions together. The first action is completed, the next one triggers automatically without you having to attend and babysit this matter. In this example, you're seeing a form being submitted, an intake form being sent as a request to the client, and the matter status gets updated once it's submitted automatically. Your staff doesn't have to see if there's a notification. And once the matter status is updated, a task automatically gets assigned to your staff to review the submission of the form. And then once they mark it complete, an appointment consultation request will go to the client. From the client's perspective, this is what they're seeing. They go to their inbox, they see an email that says, please fill out this form. They click on the link, and you have this form template that you drafted in Grow right now. And they can input basic contact or matter information, click submit. So what this ensures in the background with the automated workflow is that the next step triggers automatically. You'll see that the matter has already moved into a new stage in the pipeline, And you can also view it in the matter, saying that if you say completed 2 items, and the next step is basically the task of reviewing the form. The staff just reviewed it, said there may be a fit, which automatically sends an appointment request to your client, to your potential client. They get this email. They try to, they will click this link and then look into scheduling a consultation with you using your managed calendar. So Grow reads what kind of calendar availability you have, provides this tool to the client so that they can book a consultation with you automatically, get the necessary communications, as well as automated reminders that you set up to minimize the no-shows. And then once they book this consultation, the automated workflow that I was referring to earlier will ensure the matter status now gets updated to consultation scheduled. As you saw, there's a lot of automation I mentioned. This is pre-consult stages where we see a lot of the customers are benefiting from the automated workflow functionality that we launched last year. Which takes us to post-consultation. Post-consultation is where you had your consultation, and now it's time to engage this client to see if they want to hire you. One way that we see customers, one of the most popular features of Grow is the engagement letters. So you can draft templates for documents that pull in merge fields. Basically, it automates the creation of an e-signature document where you can use the custom fields or the standard fields in the matter and then draft this engagement letter within 30 seconds, pretty much. Send this to the client so that they can sign it, and that they also have reminders that you can set up for them. They can get an email or an SMS if you set up SMS functionality within Grow. Use this e-signature functionality that comes out of the box with your Grow subscription. You don't have to pay additional for this service. And then, as an example, after they have hired you and signed the representation agreement, you can send them a welcome email that is already templated. It takes just a few clicks for you to draft this email because it's already drafted. You can convert this matter into manage now that this case is hired, and then start working on your case. One thing that we launched last month, I think most of you probably still haven't explored it, is if you want to run revenue reporting, I've invested this much into Google ads, this much into my Facebook ads, and Grow now pulls the revenue information from Manage to allow you to see the ROI reporting and how much of those investments actually materialized in build revenue. So we launched this last month, and the customers who are in shared contacts architecture, which is something that you all have access to right now, unifying the shared contacts between Grow and Manage, will be able to use this reporting functionality starting a few weeks ago.
Okay, so that's the future state, and that was a lot, right? That was a lot, and it was really fast. And people always ask me when they retain me, where do I start? That's all great, but where do I start? How do I do this? What's the first thing, right? And I always say you start where you are, okay? You can't start from a future state. So you want to chart out your process. And to do that, in this example, I've used Microsoft Excel's add-in called Data Visualizer. If you've never used it, get it. It's fantastic. You literally put in the steps of your process in a spreadsheet and you tell it to put it into a flow chart for you. So this is an example of what that looks like. And this is an example, notice it's going from left to right, of all the different steps that I'm currently doing in my law firm to get someone from first contact to becoming a client. And what's nice about once you have this chart is your pipeline in Clio Grow should match almost exactly what your flow chart looks like, okay? So once you've charted out your process, then you're gonna build this pipeline. You shouldn't build it before you know what you're doing. Once you know what you're doing at your law firm, then you build your pipeline, and the two should mirror one another, okay? So now's the time to get out your worksheets. If you don't have a copy of a worksheet, are there any more in the back of the worksheets?
Yeah.
Any more back there? Maybe if anybody needs one, they could raise their hand and we could get people. There aren't any more. There will be materials they can access after, right?
That's right.
Okay. So conceptually, let's think through it. So on your worksheet, there's 3 steps that are called out. The first one is to chart your process. The second one is to circle opportunities for improvement. And the third one is take it back home and really implement some of the stuff you're learning today. So I'm going to tell you, I'll call out those things that I think you're going to want to circle, that we're going to give you some tips that you can apply when you get back. But I do want to mention, while we're kind of looking at this chart, Jack this morning talked about momentum, right? So that's the theme of ClioCon this year, is momentum. So it's keeping those cogwheels moving in your process so that you can have that momentum to move your firm forward. And that's what we're talking about here. Okay, so this is where you're going to do some work, okay? So everywhere that you see a light blue empty box is where you would just jot down a couple things that you do at your firm. When you're doing this, you need to remember, so if you're going to do this exercise at your firm, you want to engage the entire firm, okay? Everybody needs to be a part of this so you get buy-in if you're going to change any processes. If you leave someone out and you try to implement a new process in the future, that person's not going to buy into the new process, okay? So let's think about it. When professionals make charts, they use shapes, and shapes have meaning. So a diamond is a question or a decision, and a square is a process or a sub-process. There's a lot of other shapes. We're going to focus on these 2. So in the beginning, how did the lead come in to the firm? So they could have called in, they could have walked in, they could have done a contact us form, they could have sent you an email, they could have been a referral from a friend. There's 10 different ways they could have come to the firm. We're going to focus on 2 today. So we're going to say the first how is a call in. So in that first blue box, what's your process at your firm when someone calls in? Do they talk to a virtual receptionist? Do they talk to you? Do they, please tell me that's not the case? Do they talk to your paralegal? Do they, who are they talking to, and what does that person do? You don't have to answer that today, but put that process in that box, okay? And then the next one, we're going to use a contact us form because we'll talk quite a bit about that later. So you've got a contact us form on your website. Where does that go? Does it go to an email that gets sent to the firm owner? Does it go into your lead inbox? Where does it go when someone does a contact us form, and what do you do exactly? So the email comes in. What's your process when someone comes into the firm that way? And then you want to go through methodically each way a person comes into your firm and exactly what you do when that happens, okay? The next step for all law firms, as you notice here, this is not practice area specific. I'm a family law attorney, but this could fit almost any practice area. So the next thing is to decide, do you have a conflict, right? So the person comes in, do you have a conflict? Yes, I have a conflict. What's my process when I have a conflict? What do I do? Do I send them a non-engagement letter? Do I tell them I have a conflict? Do we just delete them out of Clio? What do you do if someone calls you and you have a conflict? You don't have a conflict. The next step is, are they qualified? What does qualified mean? So that's part of your definition, right? Do they have enough money to pay you? Is it the right kind of law that you practice? Are they in the jurisdiction where you want to help them? Are they the kind of person that you want to work with? Are they problematic? Do they have red flags? Is it somebody that you're going to be able to fit into your law process and someone that you can actually help? So think about that. Are they qualified? And then how do you determine that? Let's say they're not qualified. So they've come in, you've done a conflict check, there's no conflict, but they're not the kind of person you want to work with. What's your process once you've determined that they're not someone you want to work with? So think about that. No, you're not going to work with them. They go down to the end state, okay? All right, so we've got a no conflict, they're qualified. Now the next step is to schedule a consult. I'm going to suggest these next 3 steps, you put big old circles around them or a star or something, because this is where we can offer you a lot of help. So what's your process to have a consult, right? What does it look like? How do you handle it? How do you determine whether or not they need an on-site consult, a Zoom consult, a phone consult. What is that entire process? What's the outcome from that process? Do you generate a document summary? Do you record those calls? Do you have AI transcripts from Dialpad? What's your process when you do a consult? Now, are they going to engage with you? Have they told you they're going to engage? What's your process if they tell you they're going to engage, but they didn't engage that day? Or if they want to engage today, what's your process for that, right? So this is all about determining what you're currently doing, because you can't improve your processes if you don't know what you're currently doing. And you'd be surprised how many firm owners don't know what paralegals are doing, and it's different than what they think they're doing. Okay, so you've done your consult. They are engaging or not. If they're not, what's the process to get them out of the system, right? But let's say they are engaging. What's your process to have them engage with you? For me, it's an email through Clio Grow with a link to pay and a link to sign. But what is your process for engagement? How do you define that? And does everyone follow the same process? If you have multiple attorneys, are they doing what you want them to do as the firm owner, right? If you're a solo, what is your process to get things done? I would recommend, if you're a solo and you're going through this exercise, bring in a trusted advisor, a friend, a colleague, a family member to walk through this process with you, so you're not, you can't proof your own work, right? So have someone sit down with you and go through this process. So finally, they've engaged, they've signed a rep agreement, they've paid their retainer fee, and now you need to start gathering some information from them, right? So it's time to gather that information. What's your process to gather information? Believe it or not, I still work with firms today that give them a piece of paper to fill out with all their information. If that's what you're doing, we can really help you. But what is your process today at your firm to gather information from your now client that you're going to take over to Clio Manage? And now you're done, and it's time to take them over to Clio Manage. And I use the word done, and then I'm going to tell you, as a continuous improvement person, you're never done, right? So once you've done this, you're going to take this back to your firm. You're going to find some new tools today that you can use. You're going to implement them. And then the process is to do it again. Test your process. Make sure it's working. And in about 3 months, do it again. Because there's new things coming out in Clio all the time, or there's new laws. There could be new court rules. There could be new things, new people. You want to go through this process every few months so that you know that your processes are as refined as they can be. Because when those flat fees start getting kicked in, you want to be as efficient as you possibly can be.
The only way out is through, they say.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, for all the things that Michelle mentioned, there's a feature for that, so that you can automate this process as much as possible. We're going to start dividing all these features up, starting with attracting leads. And this is where your marketing channels, your website, your third-party integrations are coming into play to generate demand for your services. And with Grow, in the last 2 years, we've made some strides in helping law firms get new clients for themselves. And starting with Google Local Services ads, Google LSA, in other words. If you have ever searched for something on Google, maybe looking for a service provider specifically, maybe a hair salon or a butcher, there may be ads that come up at the top. So now, law firms are no exception. They have been running ads for a while. They may have their own Google Local Services ads account where they're running these ads. But with Clio Grow, starting last year, now law firms are able to start getting verified through their Grow subscription and determine their ad spend all without leaving Clio Grow. The better part of running the local services ads through Grow, but not separately, is because now you have the full pipeline view. You can assign your lead sources, track these, and then see whether the advertisement dollars that you spent are actually being put into good use, because now you can do revenue reporting and then see which one of your lead creation methods are actually performing better than the others, which tells you, do I divest or invest in this specific marketing channel? It takes from the time that you want to set up, it takes only 7 days to get verified, and then you can get your Google Google LSA up and running with Grow. And if you spend $500 with the ad spend, you get another $500 as a bonus. And just to share some interesting data, we saw that customers who are using Grow with local services ads specifically are generating 28 leads per month for their services using LSA. And 11.2 of them, they qualify as high quality leads. 4.2 of them are actually becoming clients. So 28 leads to 4.2 of them becoming clients running LSA through Grow. So if you're looking to, I think roughly 50% of you said, I'm looking into getting more clients. This may be an opportunity for you to explore, especially within Grow. And we made it very easy to get this set up in terms of verification process. You don't have to juggle between going to Clio, to Google, or to Facebook, etc.
And I can vouch for that. I've had times, family law, believe it or not, is cyclical. It has seasons. And I have turned on LSA during the seasons when I want to get those clients to be calling me. And it does make a difference how many clients you get when you're using LSAs for sure. So lead integrations, I talked to you about what do you do when someone calls in? Well, I use one of Clio's partner companies. I use Smith AI for my inbound calls, so I don't ever have to answer the phone. And my assistant is here and she's very happy about that. So, you can connect Clio to these. When someone calls my firm at Smith AI, Smith actually can schedule an appointment with my intake team. They can put the person in as a lead. All the calls come in as leads in Grow. We don't ever have to key anybody in. Everything that we do is coming to Grow from someone else's touch point, not ours. So you see here all the different partners. Any one of these partners are going to integrate with Clio Grow, and the information that comes through that partner goes right into the system for you.
Which takes us to the initial touch point. This is where the first impression is key. All the legal trends reports in the last 5-6 years are talking about how the law firm being engaging, responsive, attentive actually has a huge impact on your chances of converting this lead. And I'll let Michelle walk you through how to be that for your clients and potential clients.
Great. So in about January of this year, I was using another company to build my website for me. I own 2 companies, my law firm and my consulting firm. And I just decided I'm sick of giving somebody else my money. So I decided to try out Clio Grow's website. And I'm going to tell you, it does everything I need. So my clients can book a consult with Scheduler right through my website. They have access to Clio payments. They can log into the portal and talk to me. There is a contact us link that opens up a basic intake form. They can get directions to come to my firm. That's virtual. They can call the firm. And you see at the top of this one, it's got a cliogrow.com address. If you're a brand new attorney or you know someone who's starting a firm and they can't afford to get their own domain or to get their own stuff, this is the best way to do it quickly. You're going to get a functioning website that gives your clients everything that they need all in one place, or you can link it to your own domain name like I did. And there's ways to make it, it's a one-page website, but what I found is other attorneys care how pretty my website is, but my clients and potential clients don't. They just want to be able to connect with me and do the things that they want to do. And people think that it's going to have less visibility out there, but I have more visibility than I had before. In fact, I get more contacts through this website than I ever did my other website.
If anything, clients actually appreciate simplicity and easy ways to get in touch with your...
That's true. I talked about the intake form that's on my website. So on my website, I'm using a Clio Grow intake form, but you don't have to have the Clio website to do that. You can embed an intake form, a Clio Grow intake form on any website. And all it is, normally when you go to a website, you've got that contact us thing that people have. And that always sends an email somewhere to the firm, and it can go into your intake. But this is a more direct way to, they click on a button, the intake form pops up, they put some basic information, and it goes right into your pipeline. And typically it's going to go into the newly added section of your pipeline, but you can dictate exactly where those intake forms are going to go. So let's say, for example, today I'm here at Clio ClioCon and I'm going to meet a lot of people that may need my help. I may create a secondary intake form just for people from ClioCon, and I could call it in my pipeline ClioCon people, and then that intake form is going to go right there. So it's pretty powerful.
And for public intake forms, we know the customers who are using public intake forms, roughly 30 to 40% of their matters are actually being created this way.
Yeah.
Which is
And
fascinating.
it's important when you have that intake form on your website that it's very short. So you wouldn't want to ask them 25 questions. You want to keep it simple, their name, their email, maybe their practice area, where they're at, just a couple questions, and they're real quick to fill that out. Quick intake. So if you didn't get someone in that way, there are several different places in Grow where you can do quick intake. So you can do it from the main dashboard. You can do it from a contact, or you can do it from the untriaged inbox lead section. Quick intake allows you to add basic contact information, and it helps you do your conflict checking. So all of our conflict checking is all done in Clio Grow. As soon as you add a name in there, you can see if that name is in there, either the first or the last name, right? And then you can add some basic matter information, type, status, description, the estimated case value, which you would use in your revenue reporting later, and then who the case is being assigned to if you have more than one attorney. And then at the bottom, you can add some simple case notes. Like, let's say you're on the phone with someone when you're doing that basic intake. You could add matter notes right on the bottom saying, I talked to him on this day and this is what we talked about.
And that wraps up the initial touch point section of your journey, which brings us to the pre-consultation stage. This is where you're gathering information from this client as much as possible because you want to prepare for the consultation and engage the clients with reminders so that they're showing up to their appointment. Let's see how to set these up.
So the pipeline is what I talked about that should match your process. What I like about the Clio Grow pipeline is it's very Kanban-esque, which means it's just a visual representation of where all of your matters stand or your leads, right? You should be able to tell when you're looking at your pipeline where to focus your energy. So because you're assigning a value to every case in the estimated case value, you could see in each area of your pipeline where all the dollars are sitting not being realized, right? Or you may have one that has 35 leads in it, might not be as much money, but you got to do something with that. So you have to have your team focus for one of two reasons, either for workload, clean it up, or for potential dollars, let's get somebody hired. But it helps you understand also where you may want to have to put some automations in place to move those people along the pipeline to increase that lead to client conversion rate.
And a customer came up to me this morning actually at the product lab asking about, how do I have so many matters in my pipeline, how do I know which one to attend to first? One of the first projects I had worked on when I first joined Clio 3 years ago was the pipeline filtering. So you could filter by matter creation date. So you can say, if it's been 30 days and it's been sitting on my pipeline, it's a little pro tip that I can share with you. Maybe that's the kind of thing that needs your attention. Maybe the client may need a reminder or some sort of an email to see if they want to still pursue with the law firm.
Yeah, and sometimes I've actually, whenever the work gets ahead of me a little bit, I might create a pipeline category called Bueller or something, just something to remind me that I need to follow up with this group of people. And then I'll take all those people that are greater than 30 days, throw them in there and put some throw some emails at those particular contacts to see, hey, it's been a long time since you contacted us. Are you still interested in some legal support? Blah, 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 whatever you want to say. Okay, so consultations, this is the one I talked about, the big circle. He briefly touched on how you can do your consultations and schedulers. I didn't use this when I first started with Clio Grow because it hadn't been refined very well, but now it is. So if you haven't tried Scheduler in a long time, give it a shot. It's been improved, and you can see here with this example, you've got these two types of consultations you could schedule. They just click on a date, the time is there, confirm, and then just like Sai talked about earlier, you can put in some basic information, and then it's going to go on your calendar. They're going to get an email confirmation, and it's super easy and really fast. And what I like about some of the changes that they made recently, is that you can set your buffer times around when you're available. So it's a little bit more of a dynamic calendar than it used to be a couple of years ago. So again, if you haven't tried it in a while, I would give it a try. You can put these links to this scheduler on your website. You can send it in an email to them, and there's some you can put it in automation, which Sai will talk about in a little bit.
And we released last year the SMS appointment reminders for clients.
That's
so that
great.
Now if you have SMS enabled, their clients are getting, potential clients are getting these reminders on their phone to show up for the consultation.
That's right.
To reduce no-shows.
This is my favorite part of Grow, and I know I'm a little bit nerdy about this kind of stuff, but drip campaigns are a great way to nurture someone after an initial contact or at a later stage in the intake process. So my example for a great drip campaign candidate would be someone calls the firm, maybe they talked to Smith AI, maybe the call got dropped, but for some reason we didn't connect. Maybe Smith didn't think they were qualified, so they didn't schedule an intake call with my coordinator. But for some reason they didn't connect with us. So I want to invite them to connect with us, right? So I send out a 5-email drip campaign. And it's the timing of the emails is based on statistics. So typically for a family law client, they want to talk to you today, right? So the first email goes out today. The next one is in 3 days. I think it's 7, 14, and then 30. 30 days sounds like a lot, but we've proven that sometimes after 30 days in family law, somebody is ready finally, right? So you want to focus in your drip emails, you want to focus on the client experience. So you want to be persuasive. So you're trying to convince them to connect with you, but you don't want to be pushy or salesy, right? You want to focus on their urgency, not yours. You want to connect them to your website, maybe give them some additional information about the services that you offer. Always have a call to action at the end of each email. Ours is a link to schedule an intake coordinator call. And just like Jack talked about AI, I'm going to use AI here. I draft my drip campaign emails with AI, and I'm a continuous improvement person. So I've changed them multiple times in the last couple of years as AI has gotten better, and I've learned how to use AI better. So the key to creating AI emails or anything AI for Grow, because I use it a lot in Grow, is to make sure that you're speaking in your voice. So make sure that those 5 emails that you create are written in your voice. So you'd want to tell it. I'll give you an example. Create a 5-email drip campaign for a collaborative law, family law attorney speaking to people that make about this much money in Kalamazoo, Michigan, for people who don't want to fight and they don't want to go to court, right? So I'm saying all these things about the kind of client that I want exactly. I'm building that avatar of who my ideal client is, and I'm building the emails. Then AI will say, then I can ask it again, can you make those a little shorter and use more common language and, all the things I want it to say. And it's made some really great emails. If anybody is curious on what they say, you could just connect with me later and I can send those to you.
And we have tangible plans to actually improve the drip campaigns and Grow. So if you're curious to learn more or kind of potentially interested in a future pilot of sorts, we'll be at the product lab so I can connect you with the right folks there. Another one, it's a workaround. If the drip campaigns and Grow is not working, you can use MailChimp, which is an integration that Grow has, to push your contacts with certain contact tags or contact types that you have identified to run your campaigns in MailChimp. But soon it won't be as necessary.
You heard that hint, didn't you? Tasks. Okay, so tasks in Grow are great when you have like a one-off task. So let's say somebody's in the drip email campaign and maybe they somehow got my email, sent me an email, and I wanted to tell my intake coordinator, hey, could you follow back up with them? They do want to meet with you after all. Quick task. You don't have to go outside of the system. Don't have to send your assistant an email. You can do a task right here in Grow. So you can do that one-off task, but you can also set a series of tasks. I work with one client that literally has 25 tasks for every single person that's that is a true qualified potential client in Grow, and they check them off as they do them, right? And then it just looks like a checklist of things that have to be done. And then Sai is really going to dig into some better ways to use tasks,
Yeah.
other automation.
I'm very excited about this next one.
I know you are.
It's one of my projects like last year. Automate workflows, I think, who's currently using automate workflows in Grow? Okay, 10 or so. I mean, personally, but I see that this is actually helping customers so much that if there's one thing that the presenters want you to remember from this presentation, it would be to use more automations, specifically automate workflows. I'm going to spend a few minutes here. Basically, you can do all these things in Grow, and we've had a lot of feature requests around even more automation. So someone does something, and I want the next step to trigger automatically. It was one of the most popularly requested features. So last year, we released this functionality that is the easiest way you can set up an automation, because we know running a law firm is already complicated. So we have to keep it very simple in a linear format. So one thing happens, then the next thing happens right after the first thing. A very common example of that is the potential client submits the intake form, and I want the task to be assigned to my staff so that they can review it. Another task to be assigned for conflict checking. If they mark both of those completed, maybe they can send an email to the potential client, to schedule an appointment with me, right? These are one of the most common ways. Another very common way that we've seen customers are using tasks, automate workflows, is tasks. Let's just say there's the intake specialist in your firm and there's the attorney, and you have a lot of back and forth between the two. Some of you are reviewing information. Maybe there's a paralegal to make some notes on this new matter. So you can create maybe 3 tasks in an automated workflow. Once the first one is done, the second one triggers, and you don't have to type each time, here's a task for my intake specialist, here's a task for my attorney. I'm seeing some nods, which, I'm very happy to see that. We saw that customers who are using automated workflows in their matters are converting their leads to clients 4 days faster than the law firms who are not using these on their matters. And we also have a lot of internal, actually it's much more than 4 days faster. It's around 10 to 15 days, but in a specific matter type we looked at, it was 4 days. And you can also eliminate, if you think about the manual actions you're doing in Grow, send a form, send an email, send an appointment request, you can reduce them by up to 40%. In actually past August, it was 50% of manual actions as staff needs to take within Grow can be automated, because now you can tie actions together. But I'll leave you with one tip on the automated workflows. It might be overwhelming to understand, okay, how is this going to work? I'm still setting up my forms to work for me. Start with just 2 steps. If there is a pattern that you're seeing, this happens every time this previous thing happens, maybe that's where you start. And once you build the confidence in your processes and the chart that Michelle was talking about, maybe it's time to create different automated workflows. And that takes us to completing the higher stage. You've had your consultation and you have an idea of the fit, both you and the potential client. Now it's time to engage them with streamlined communications, making sure they're responsive, and also potentially get the retainer signed.
So getting the retainer agreement signed is very easy in Clio Grow. Again, I told you this is one of the areas that we should have circled. If you're not doing them in Grow, please start doing them in Grow. So there's a new format they just released less than a month ago. You have page numbering now in Grow, that's new. And there's also an improved toolbar along the top of the document creation. So if you want to add in tables, I don't know if anybody remembers how they used to be, but now if you add a table into a Grow document, it's super easy. I think a couple of examples to use tables would be if you have multiple attorneys with different rates, you want that in your rep agreement. That's easy to put in with a table. Another one is
signature blocks.
Signature blocks. If you like to have different people signing in different places specifically, that works. And what's great about this is where you see those different colors, that's pulling information right from the matter. So you're creating reusable templates for documents to be generated throughout the intake process, but bringing specific information from each matter into the document itself.
And 80% of Actor Grow customers are using documents functionality for e-signatures. So if you're in the 20%, maybe ask yourself, is this something that I want to, why? Is this something I want to leverage? Because document templates are using what we call merge fields in this world. basically, if there's a custom field or a standard field that exists in your matter and contact, you don't have to draft the document each time. You just say, this is where the first name goes. This is where the attorney rate goes.
It's so easy.
And then when you try to send this to your client to sign, it's already drafted. You just need to do a quick review and then send.
Yeah, and you can build them from scratch, or you can duplicate them from one you already built, and you can include up to 10 people or companies in each one, and that's all in the settings of the document. What's great about this is once the document's signed and you move the matter over from Clio Grow to Clio Manage, that document sits in Documents and Manage.
Right.
And this is my second favorite thing, or maybe even my first, I'm not sure, but intake forms, from intake forms to merge fields. This is an example here of a personal injury lawyer that's setting up an intake form for a driving accident, okay? So he's just creating this form, some basic information, and then he's going to ask, were you the driver or the passenger, right? If the answer is that they were the driver, then there's a follow-up question to ask them for their driver's license number, right? So when they put in their driver's license number, he's also set it up so that this driver's license number is connected to a custom field that's related to the contact, right? So remember, custom fields are either contact custom fields or they're matter custom fields, very different for different usages. But the contact custom fields follow that contact everywhere they go. So if you have a driving accident that you're helping the person with today, and then you're going to be a divorce attorney tomorrow, and they're still in Manage, that driver's license number follows that person to every matter that they have in Manage, okay? So you don't have to go find the driver's license number, look for the PDF scan of it. You always have it. It's always connected to that matter, and it follows them from Grow to Manage. And I think that's the beauty of intake forms, is everything that you intake is there, and it moves over into Manage, and it populates that document automation in Manage.
Yeah. We have some Grow customers who are using Grow primarily for intake forms, where they're primarily a managed customer, and they say, hey, I need some information gathered from this client. So I just send them an intake form, which populates Grow, and it's a click to convert them into Manage.
Right.
Especially for law firms who are kind of new to digital transformation, once we show them, especially on sales demos, their faces light up. So this is a very powerful feature. Once you make it work, it actually automates a lot of your processes.
Another thing you can do, and this is underutilized with the people that I work with, is you can have, let's say for a divorce, you collect, like we have to do mandatory financial disclosures in the state of Michigan, and there's a series of documents that we have to get, pay stubs, tax documents, all that. You could do a intake form that's just a document collection. So every single question is, please attach your tax documents here. Please attach your pay stubs here. Please attach your mortgage statement here. So you literally could have an intake form, a secondary intake form that just is a document collection tool. Pretty powerful. And then for both documents and forms, you send out through the Matter in Clio Grow an intake form, or you send out an email that has a link to either sign the document or to fill out the intake form, right? But now with texting, you can also, down on the bottom there where it says text notifications, if you've got that set up properly and you click on that, they'll get a text as well. And text marketing has a 98% open rate, okay? And 95% of those texts are read in the first 3 minutes after getting it, probably faster. And, let's say somebody's at work and they don't have access to their home email that's going to get all their legal stuff. They can literally sign their rep agreement while they're sitting at work, kind of incognito, right? They sign their rep agreement. They can make a payment to you. There's so many things that they can do right from that text link that is just faster. And we believe that email marketing is going to become complementary like texting used to be, and texting will be the primary way that we're going to communicate with our clients.
I mean, marketing is one use case, but especially for certain practice areas where the client may not be as tech savvy. If you have wills and estates attorneys here, sometimes they're not as tech savvy and they just are more responsive via text. And when we look at our internal tracking on Clio Grow, when a customer sends the intake form and the document via text in addition to emails, within 24 hours, the the completion rate is 25% higher.
Yeah.
And sometimes that tail continues so that you're actually maybe losing business because it's getting lost in their email inbox.
That's right.
Which we can all relate to, right? Even though I'm a zero inbox type of freak.
And I'm the opposite, the lawyer, right? Okay, so now the retainer agreement's signed, the intake form is complete. This person's now a client. Well done, congratulations. It's time to move the matter into Clio Manage. It's very simple. You literally just click on the button up on the top to click Convert it to Clio Manage. And if it's going to bring everything over that you did while you're in Clio Grow. So it's going to bring over any documents they signed, any documents they uploaded, all of the intake form information, everything. But for some reason, if you had forgotten to, or you didn't get all that information from them, it doesn't mean you can't add it later. You would just re-click on that and then update that information in Clio Manage.
We covered a lot today.
We did.
I think.
Momentum,
right. And it was a cold room, so kudos to you for, kind of being here. I'm from Toronto, and it's even colder here than it is in Toronto. I don't know how that's possible.
Michigan, same.
Yeah. So I'm curious, who thinks that they actually learned something that they want to incorporate back into their processes when they're back home?
A couple hands.
More than half. That's awesome. That's amazing. As a product manager, this is, being at ClioCon is my Disneyland, essentially. My job is to understand customers. So I'm very happy that you actually got value from the session. We talked a lot about getting new clients through Google LSA integrations and website. These are table stakes. Website is definitely table stakes. And streamlining intake between your staff as well as the clients through streamlined communication, as well as using automation functionality, intake forms, scheduler, document automation, and automated workflows that tie everything together. And we also talked about increasing conversion rates. One of the things that you mentioned that you're looking into doing, and this is all about client engagements and streamlined communication. It's reminders, it's follow-up emails, it's text and drip campaigns that Michelle was talking about. You're welcome to take the worksheets. We apologize for not having enough worksheets. We didn't think it would be this popular, I guess. But if you want to scan this QR code, this basically takes you to a little landing page that has some links to help docs. If you don't want to do that right now, that's okay too, because you can just Google, for instance, automated workflows Clio Grow, and that will bring you to Clio help docs. I think most of you have seen those, but especially for new customers, we see that they're usually scrambling to find help. And help docs are actually a great way to do that. Or you can get in touch with Clio, or you can sign up to the law community and talk to the other law firms who have been implementing these in their law firms. My colleagues told me that there's some deals going on throughout ClioCon if you want to level up with Clio, so check that section out. My name is Sai again, and it's a pleasure for me to be here. Every year, I just meet many, many more of you, and it makes my job a lot easier and much more purpose-driven. So thank you for being here. And Michelle, any closing remarks?
Yeah, I just want to tell you that, I did start out not being efficient and not having my systems buttoned up the way that they are. And it really does change your practice. It really does make it enjoyable to practice law again. So if anybody, I'm going to be in the back of the room. If anyone has any questions or wants to talk, just let me know.
Yeah, we have 5 more minutes until the next session, I think. So if you want some one-on-one time, we can have it here, or I'll be at the product lab throughout the conference. So please say hi, and then we can talk more about automation. Enjoy your conference.
Thanks, everyone.